Welcome to the Global Pulse, a short video series where our experts break down a trending topic in international business and why it matters to you.
The United Nations Annual Global Climate Summit, called COP28, is currently underway in Dubai and will be attended by 167 leaders with more than 190 countries represented this year. The meetings are where countries review their progress and commitments against global climate goals of trying to keep global temperatures from rising above 1.5 degrees Celsius, a scientifically determined point of where we can avoid the most catastrophic impacts to the Earth. The aim is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by 2030 from their 2019 levels. This year, 4 topics are expected to dominate the news cycle on COP28. A report on the worldwide implementation of the landmark Paris Climate Accord, the future of fossil fuels, climate finance for poor countries, and the initiation of a fund to pay for climate damage. This is also the first year for the global stocktake, as it's called, to assess how countries are doing against the Paris Accord's temperature targets. The expectation is that some progress has been made since 2015, but that the results fell well short of achieving those targets. How countries will respond to this assessment and how they can get back on track will be a much-watched part of this year's COP summit. While there has been widespread general agreement on the need to address climate change, you can imagine with the diversity of countries represented that gaining consensus can be difficult. Moreover, the classic economics issue of the tragedy of the commons hangs over these efforts, as some countries appear to be taking a more passive approach to combating climate change at the expense of other countries. This may be one of the more important issues facing climate change strategies going forward, particularly if goals are not being met. There's also going to be some debate over how to finance climate change and how to redistribute funds between wealthy and poor countries. Tied to that is a new climate loss and damage fund to help countries, particularly underdeveloped ones, faced with irreparable damage over time from climate change. And there's already been some interesting news coming out of COP28. For example, 118 countries pledged to triple renewable use by 2030, and 20 countries signed on to triple nuclear energy capacity by 2050. This year's host, the United Arab Emirates, announced recently that it was launching a new climate fund, Alterra, which with $30 billion in investments and managed by some of the largest asset management firms in the world, was envisioned to grow to $250 billion by 2030. This would be the largest private investment in climate change and represents a strategy by the oil-rich country to begin pivoting away from fossil fuels and toward clean energy investments. The UAE has been working on initiatives to increase the use of renewable energy, particularly in developing countries where such investments have been lacking. However, the conference has not been without some early controversy, as the BBC reported that the president of COP28, who happens to be a senior UAE official who is also the CEO of UAE's state-run oil company ADNOC, and his team had plans to discuss a number of business deals relating to fossil fuels and renewables with members of 15 other countries during COP28. Such discussions apparently are not consistent with the standard of conduct expected of COP presidents, according to the UN body that oversees COP, who are supposed to exhibit impartiality and refrain from discussing business at these meetings. Nevertheless, COP28 appears to have gotten off to a good start, and more details on the progress made to fight climate change will be revealed over the coming days.